So here we are, everybody. It's Friday morning at about 6:30ish in the morning. Left Ottawa about an hour and a bit ago, about 5:15 in the morning when I left the house. Just on the far side of Brockville, coming up on Gananoque, so I'm not doing too bad in timing. Hoping to be in London by about noon. That's my goal, no later than 12. Probably going to be a little early, but I'm aiming for noon. That's my benchmark. It is the Friday before an air show, so historically, today would have been the day of not all of the arrivals. A majority of the arrivals would have been showing up today. There would have been a full-blown practice air show in the afternoon, and then you would have had the hour of power at night with the more of the jet arrivals, as well as the jet teams going up around sunset, just making noise and making for some really cool pictures with those afterburners at night. But unfortunately, due to the limitations of COVID, this year's air show, I'm sure if you're out there, you've seen my posts already. This year's air show has been a drive-in format. So there's no statics, there's no vendors, there's no wandering around. It's going to be park your car, stay within your little box. You can get your chairs out, you can sit outside, but you're limited to the box that your car is parked in. So there won't be nearly as many arrivals. So also, with that COVID situation, the U.S. border, the U.S.-Canada border, is still closed to all non-essential travel. And while there is an exception in place for military personnel, it was deemed, I wouldn't say wrong, but just it sent the wrong message when you're using a military exemption for an air show. So it was decided that all of the U.S. demo teams, which there's a lot of coming, will be based in the U.S. at Selfridge Air National Guard base just north of Detroit. And they're going to shuttle over every day and do their flying. So they'll leave Selfridge, fly over, do their demo over London, and then fly back to Selfridge. So it's a great workaround. It's a very short flight. Should not impact their demos at all. But this afternoon there will be a full practice air show, so you guys will get some pictures and video of the practice today, and it's going to be a good practice for me too, because I can again see kind of where I want to focus on tomorrow, get that picture I missed, or get that video that I really want to make sure I get a video of tomorrow, so I can focus on that today and figure it out. So there will not be very much on site. From what I see on social media, all of the demo teams are in Selfridge already. A few of them have actually come over to London yesterday on the Thursday. Did a couple of passes, get a site recce done, and just make some noise over the city to promote the air show. So as far as I know, the only aircraft basing out of London are going to be the two RCAF CF-18s. So we'll have to wait and see what we see on the ground. But I think everything else is either basing out of Selfridge with the demo teams and the Thunderbirds, or for the larger stuff like the KC-10s, the KC-135s, the E-3 AWACS, and the B-52 flybys. They're just going to fly up from home base, do a couple of passes, and return back to home base. So it's going to be a bit of a different format, a different air show than people are used to. But considering it's the only one of the year, I'm pretty excited to get down and see it. So as I said, on my way down now, hoping to be there for noon, and we'll get some more pictures going up, and you guys will get to see what I get to see. So stay tuned. And as always, everybody, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. And just before we get into the video, something I should have been doing a lot more up till now, and that is just asking you guys out there, if you enjoy what you're looking at, if you like what I'm doing, go down below, click on the like page, subscribe to my channel, and by all means, please click on that little notification bell. If that way you guys get alerted when I do get more new content up. I usually try to do the What's on My Desk monthly update beginning of the month. And I usually try to get a video or a series of videos released by the 15th, the middle of the month. So whether that's going to be a tips and tricks video, or an aviation history video, or my time-lapse videos of the previous model builds that I've got done, or an airshow video, or some of my new product review videos I'll be doing. So I want to try to get something posted by the middle of the month. So please, if you're enjoying this, subscribe, like, and click that notification bell. Let's move on to the video. And here we are, folks. We're gonna start talking about that air show. So sorry for that intro. I filmed that on my cell phone on the drive down. The quality didn't turn out quite as good as I wanted it, but I wanted to do kind of a driving down type sequence. I'd like to get some footage of the actual drive, but I had no way of getting the cell phone to film out the windshield without actually holding it. I don't have any setup on my dashboard yet, and I didn't want to sit there holding the phone filming while I'm driving down the highway. It would be kind of hard to do into a time lapse. So anyways, that's the intro. As I said there, we're here to see the Airshow London 2020 pictures and video that I took. I did try to get a bit more video this year. I don't think it turned out quite as good. I actually forgot to bring my video camera. I meant to grab the camera off the model desk here and film with that. I forgot to bring it. So I was using my Canon 7D Mark II. Not the best at video. I found Canon is not really good at shooting video. It doesn't like to focus. It very easily loses focus, especially when things are coming towards or away from the camera. So if a plane's flying side to side, it wasn't too bad. But if a plane turned and flew away, or was, it had trouble keeping that thing in focus. So I don't think the videos turned out quite as good as I hoped. But I did get lots of cool pictures. So between the video shots and some of the still pictures, I will be able to show you the highlights of what this weekend was like. It was a very, very good weekend. The Friday show and the Saturday show were almost exactly the same. As I said, there were no statics. So just also, I guess I should clear up that intro was shot on my drive down. I'm now filming this roughly about a week after the show, or after I drove down. So it's now Thursday, and I drove down last Friday. So I had hindsight of 2020. So the shows, because there was no statics on the ground, the shows were effectively the same both days. There were a few extra flybys that happened on the Saturday that didn't happen on the Friday, but everything I saw on the Friday, for the most part, happened on the Saturday. So what you're going to see throughout here, it's going to be a mix of the Friday and the Saturday shows. I'll clear up when I took video on the Friday when I'm interspersing it. If I don't specifically mention that it's taken on the Friday, then you can assume it was taken on the Saturday. I did take some video one day and both the others, as well as pictures. I was in a slightly different location on the Friday, so I was farther away from the show line, but I was centered on show center, whereas on the Saturday I was closer to show line, but I was a little farther to the south of show center. So the pictures are in two slightly different angles, so I got different shots both days. So I'll intersperse some of the Friday and Saturday shots and video, but I'll do the show here in the video as I saw it on the Saturday. So the things that flew by on the Saturday that didn't happen on the Friday will be in the same place, but as I talk about, especially the demo teams when the practices on the Friday, I might throw in a few pictures and video that I took of the shots of the acts on the Friday, and as I said, I'll clearly describe when you're seeing something from the Friday. So if any of you were there on the Saturday and are confused as to why you're seeing what you're seeing, it's because I did get video and pictures on the Friday as well. So enough of that. Okay, so I guess that's my battery just died, so I had to reset here. So that's enough with the preamble. Let's get down to it. Let's take a look at these videos and pictures that I got, and here we go. This was Airshow London 2020 Skydrive. So the show started on the Saturday with the RCAF CF-18s taken off. As I said, there were two of them taken off. Both were twin seats. There was 188933 and 188939. 939, or is it 933? One of the two is the Color Bird from 433 Squadron, based out of Bagotville. So we had a Plain Jane, and then the 433 Squadron Color Bird with the full tails. So both of those took off. They headed out right about 12:15, 12:30. They took off, headed east to meet up with the RCAF A310 CC150 refueler. So they met up. They didn't come by. They did two passes with the fighters in trail with the hoses out. Again, not something you see too often. I think it's the third time I've seen that. Once in Gatineau a few years ago, which was surprisingly completely unplanned. That's another story I'll get into later. So in Gatineau once it happened, and then Trenton had a demo in their air show, and then it was here. So they came by, did a few passes. I did not get any video of the passes, but here's some pictures. You've got the F-18s taking off, some great shots of them tucking up their gear, and as I said, they met up with the 310, did a couple of passes. They were great passes for this demo. Normally when you see a refueling demo like this, I mean, I've never seen a U.S. Air Force refueling demo or U.S. Navy refueling demo, so I'm not entirely sure how they do it when they do demos, but in this case, they stayed nice and low. The tanker put just a hair of bank on, so you get a very nice profile view of the 310 as it went by, and those two F-18 pilots, both of which I understand were from the London area, so they're both local boys. They tucked it in nice and tight and kept it in looking really good for those passes. So beautiful passes on those. They then broke off. The two Hornets beat up the field for a few passes. They're limited with what they do because there is no demo set up. So they're not able to do any real flying demo. They just kind of did a bunch of low passes, beat up the field. Did a beautiful two-ship pass. Here's a shot of them going by in formation. And that picture is not edited. What you're seeing is actually what I took. Perfectly framed, perfectly lit. You couldn't ask for a better day for pictures. So those two Hornets went by, and then they came in and landed, and that was the end, effectively, on the Saturday at least, of the RCAF participation in the show. On the Sunday, I hear there was a U.S. Coast Guard Dolphin came up from Selfridge, as well as a Hercules, a C-130 from Trenton, and they did a bit of a SAR demo. Unfortunately, I was not there on Sunday, so I did not see that. So for me, this was the end of my RCAF participation for the Saturday show. So next up in the show, we had the F-16 demo from the United States Air Force. On the Friday, it was the regular line bird that they use, sort of a backup jet. The Saturday had the specially painted Venom demo jet. And then again, I heard on the Sunday, it was back to the standard paint scheme. So really only Saturday we were lucky enough to see the Venom paint job. And for some reason, I didn't take any video of the F-16 demo. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't. I think I was just too focused on trying to get shots of that Venom paint scheme. The F-16, they tended to do their show a little bit farther away than the other demo teams, so it wasn't quite as close up. So I was really focused on getting those good shots of the Venom paint job on Saturday, and I guess I just never ended up taking any video. But like I said, I do have some pictures, so I'll start off with some of the shots from Friday. So you can kind of see here some of the passes he made with the standard line jet. So I mean, the F-16 demo, it's very dynamic. I find it's better when they take off out of the airfield, as they take off and immediately do a hard turn right off takeoff. A very dase pass. When they come in from what's the word I'm thinking of? A remote base, when they come in from a remote base. The show isn't quite as dynamic, and as I said, he held it a little farther away from the crowd than I was expecting, but it was still an amazing demo. I mean, the F-16 is a very small, very agile fighter. So as I said, there are some shots of the Friday, and then we also have some of the shots of the Viper team, the demo, the Venom demo on the Saturday. Basically the same show as the Friday, but with the Venom paint scheme. So you get some really cool shots here, that really cool paint scheme. Unfortunately, I managed to flip my lens by accident. The entire time I was there, the only time I had an issue with my camera was when the Venom jet went to do a topside pass, and none of my pictures turned out. So I don't have that quintessential topside pass, but I have quite a few other pictures here of what the Venom jet looked like. Really cool, really hoping to see this jet again in the future, get some more cool pictures of this plane, especially on the ground. But there we go. That is the U.S. Air Force F-16 demo. So the next aircraft in the show was the U.S. Air Force A-10 demo. And it's only the second time I've ever seen the A-10 demo. The first time was last year at Airshow London. And it never disappoints. I mean, I'm very impressed with this demo. The aircraft is surprisingly agile for its size. And even though it flies relatively slow, they still throw it around the sky like a fighter. So it's a very interesting demo. It's a very close-in demo. Because the speeds are slower, when he makes the turns, he isn't going 2-3 miles out. Everything happens right in front of your face, and it's a very close-in, very high-energy, very dynamic show. And he does a few gun passes. And it's really interesting when he comes in because he kind of comes in on a dive and then he quickly changes direction and kind of mushes the airplane for a bit and then pulls out. It makes this really interesting sound. If you saw my last year's review of the show, I kind of mentioned about this. And again, it was very interesting to see. And I did manage to get a bit of video of the A10 demo. So I'll throw the video up here. You can take a look at the video I got, and then I'll see if I got some cool shots I can show in at the end here. So here we go. Here's some video of the A10 demo. So there you have it, some of the video I took. The first 3 videos were from the Friday when they did the practice. The last video of that roll and turn, that was from the Saturday show. I'll throw up a few of the pictures I got here. There's this great shot of it going by in a dirty pass, everything hanging out. Both days the pictures were pretty much the same, but this is a shot I took on the Saturday. And then also with the shots, you've got a bit of vapor pulling off, so some really dynamic turns and some pulls, and just shows off the interesting lines of the A10 with a bit of like wingtip contrails and whatnot going on. So really cool with the A10 demo. Always exciting to see that. So there you go. That was the U.S. Air Force A10 demo at Airshow London. So after the A10 broke off, it was probably what was the highlight for my day anyways for this air show, and that was the B-52 flyby. It was supposed to have been 2 B-52s. The announcer even said, you know, next up we have 2 B-52s, and then he was corrected by Air Boss that we only had the 1. A little disappointing, but again, you don't see B-52s flying at an air show very often, so to have one at this show, especially at a Canadian show in the middle of a pandemic, was an absolute joy to see. So it came all the way up from Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, and it was aircraft. I'm just going to double check and be 100% sure here before I tell you the wrong thing. I know it was 60, and I believe it was 0028, but of course my computer is going to take forever to open stuff up right now. Yeah, 600028. So fiscal year 1960. So it is a 60-year-old jet that did the flyby from all the way from, like I said, all the way from Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana. Left Louisiana, flew up, did the flyby in London, and then headed home. It did 3 passes actually. It was supposed to only do 2 passes, ended up doing 3. So came in from the north, did a pass down the show. I don't really have any picture, sorry, any video of it. It was only a quick flyby, and I was focused on taking pictures of this. So I'll throw these pictures up as I talk. So the first pass was a little high, north to south, gear up, came over top of us. Awesome sound with those 8 engines going off. And then after it came over top, it made a left-hand turn, circled around in a downwind, actually dropped the gear and the flaps and everything, and then swung around and did another pass north to south with all the gear and everything hanging out, retracted the gear just as it finished up its pass, and then did a giant dumbbell turn, and then came back again south to north. Quite a bit of speed going on. I have never seen a B-52 fly that fast before. I mean, I've never really seen, it's only the second time I've ever seen a B-52 fly. It came by, it was smoking when it went by. I did not think a B-52 could fly that fast. So he came by, I guess mentally I knew it was possible. I knew the speeds it could do, but to physically see it go by at that speed was amazing. So he did that pass south to north, and then that was the end of the B-52 show. So next up after the B-52, we had the F-35 demo. This is probably one of my favorite demos right now out of the U.S. Air Force. The aircraft is small, it's fast, It's extremely loud. It's really the loudest aircraft in the U.S. inventory, so it's loud and very maneuverable. It can turn on a dime. It does some amazing maneuvers, but it's basically a flying smoke machine. Every time this thing makes a turn, or it pulls vapor. It's just vapor, vapor, vapor. It is amazing. I'm going to throw some shots up just here between the Friday and the Saturday show. I'll put a couple of Fridays first and then a couple of the Saturday shows, just showing you how much vapor this thing pulls. Every time it turned, every time it pulled into the vertical, it just, I mean, which I guess it's the same thing. It's a turn. Every time the aircraft pulled G's or got fast, it just created vapor. So the couple of pictures up there, and then we'll show you those vapor shots. Okay, so I didn't get much video of the F-35. I was so focused on taking pictures. Of course, I forgot to do video. I did get 2 video on the Friday. The Friday show, one of them, I'll put them up here in 2 seconds. He's actually pulling, it's a she. The F-35 pilot was a female this time. Major Wolf, Bayo Wolf was her call sign, Bayo. So she, one of them, she's pulling out of the vertical dive, so you see a lot of vapor as she pulls out. The second one, she's doing a high alpha pass. She goes by in high alpha and then just gives her and climbs out into the vertical. So here are those 2 videos of the F-35s. And like I said, those are the only 2 videos. Didn't do a lot of I mean, I did take a lot of pictures. I focused more on vapor and stuff like that. So you do get some really cool shots. It's hard to see the dynamics of the show out of pictures, but you got to see all that vapor. You got to see the flights. So that was the F-35 demo, and we'll see the next act. So the next aircraft that come in on the show was the U.S. Air Force F-22 demo. The F-22 demo, it's interesting. The aircraft is very performance-oriented, very fast, very maneuverable, very loud. It does some really, really odd, almost impossible-like maneuvers when it's flying. But I find it's very much typical of a U.S. mindset, where it's just fast and loud, and isn't quite as impressive. I mean, they're cool to see, but I find that the other demos, the A-10, the F-16, and the F-35 demo, are significantly more impressive than the F-22. The F-22 is just big and loud and flies around. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does do some amazing high alpha work and some really cool tumbling type maneuvers, but it's not quite as impressive, I find, as some of the other demos, but always great to see. I love the color on the F-22. I'll show you some pictures a little bit. First of all, I did get some video, so I'll throw the video up here first. There's a few from Friday and then a couple from Saturday, and we'll get those looked at, and then we'll get some pictures done. So there you have it. That was the 3 videos. First 2 are from Friday. The last one was from Saturday. As I said, the Canon isn't the best at doing video. It's heavy with the 400mm lens that I'm using, as well as, like I said, it has issues focusing, so it's constantly losing and grabbing focus again. But those are the videos. So next up, I'll throw some pictures up here. The first few are from the Friday. Perfectly blue skies. It was lots of cool, not quite as good as an F-35, but when it did pull some G's, it was creating some vapor, so I did get some good shots of some vapor forming. Awesome show. As I said, it's loud. It's fast, it's zoom and boom, it's typical US Air Force. It's awesome to see. The Friday show, unfortunately, a big cloud moved in just as the F-22 went to start its show. So it limited to more of a flat show, so it wasn't as much vertical happening on the Saturday. But we got some great passes, beautiful light. Not much to complain about on the Saturday. And so there you go. That was the F-22 demo. So once the F-22 completed its demo, both on the Friday and the Saturday, the aircraft went into hold and then met up with the other 3 demo aircraft. They had been holding the entire time, and in some cases had actually topped up off of a tanker. And those the 4 demos met up and did a heritage pass. Now, typically with a heritage flight, it's a modern aircraft, usually the demo aircraft, the F-16, the A-10, the F-22, the F-35, flying with a heritage aircraft, like usually a P-51 or a P-57 or an A-1 Sky Raider or like an F-86 Sabre or something, and it's the heritage, the past and the present. However, with the nature of the show this year due to COVID and the aircraft being remotely based, they were unable to find a World War II aircraft that could do that mission, that could leave the US, fly up, hold, formate, do the passes, and still get back down to the US safely. As they weren't allowed to actually put boots on ground in Canada, the decision was made to not do an actual heritage flight with a vintage aircraft. The other side of that is we had all 4 demo teams. And the most aircraft they've ever formed up with was 4. They've only ever practiced for a 4-ship heritage pass using usually 2 vintage and 2 modern, or 1 vintage and 3 modern. But having all 4 ships there, they basically decided to do a 4-ship heritage flight with the 4 demo teams. And this, I'll put the pictures up, I'll start showing some pictures here, starting with the pictures from Friday. This was the first time that they had ever performed a 4-ship demo heritage pass ever at a public air show. I believe they practiced it before in they usually do the heritage flight practice flights in the spring down in Tucson, Arizona at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. But this was the first time that they had publicly performed a 4-ship demo team heritage pass, and it was spectacular to have all 4 jets flying together. Now, unfortunately, on the Saturday, the F-35 had a technical glitch and had to call off early and head back to base, so the 3 left over did the heritage pass on the Saturday. But it was kind of cool because the Saturday also had the painted up F-16. So it's one of those things where I saw the plain F-16 on Friday with a 4-ship, but the painted F-16 on a Saturday, but only a 3-ship. So you got to kind of take what you get. But that was the heritage pass with the 4-ship, well, 3-ship on Saturday. And I did manage to get video on the Saturday. I took a shot on the Friday of the overhead break, and my shot did not turn out. The video didn't work. The camera lost focus, and I missed the break. I did get a shot on Saturday of the 3-ship flying by, so at least you can see that. So here's the 3-ship flying by. And there you have it. So that's the heritage flight. So then after that, we moved on to a couple more of the flybys. So the next aircraft to do a flyby at the show was the US Air Force E-3 Sentry. Now this, again, one of the rarer performers we had. I can only really see evidence of this happening, a handful of times at air shows where they had an E3 do a flyby. If they show up, they tend to be on static, and even then it's pretty rare because there's not a lot of them. I've only ever seen one previous to this, and it was an RAF example that was on display in Trenton at their air show a few years ago. So to see a US Air Force E3 at a show at all is amazing, and to have it fly by is even more amazing, and to have it happen in Canada is basically unheard of. So it came in, did 2 passes. I guess it was only 2 passes. Came in from the south, did an overhead pass. It stayed up pretty high. I'm pretty sure there's restrictions on what these people are allowed to do in terms of low level stuff and missed approaches into airports. So it didn't come down, stayed at high altitude, flew by south to north, circled around, and then came back in for another south to north pass, and then left to the north. Again, really cool to see. I did not get any video. Obviously, I was focused more on getting some static shots of that, so I'll throw these up now so you can see them coming in. They've got the old GT8 engines, so they are smoky things. It's the same engine effectively as the B-52, so it pours out the smoke, and it's basically the same kind of screaming whine sound that the the B-52 has. So anyways, lots of smoke coming out of those. Really cool to see. The dome wasn't spinning. It did seem to change position slightly between passes, and I believe that the dome, when it's not being used, is kind of free floating. It kind of moves around and spins under its own aerodynamic force, and it does create some lift, but it wasn't actually motorized and spinning as they did the flyby. So a little disappointed on that, but still got to see an E3. So they have the pictures of the flyby. This came up all the way from Tinker Air Force Base out of Oklahoma. So it took off out of Tinker. It headed towards Canada. It actually sat just on the south side of Lake Erie. It was refueled by that KC-10 that flew by earlier in the show. And then the KC-10 did the flyby, and the E3 just circled for, I think it was about an hour to an hour and a half. It just circled south of Lake Erie. And then as soon as it had its slot in the show, it came up and did its passes. So very cool to see that. And after the E3, we come to basically the last act of the show. And for the end of the show, as usual with most air shows, with a demo team, or a aerial demonstration team, I guess you want to call it, the show ended with the US Air Force Thunderbirds. Apparently, they had quite a few mechanical issues on the Friday show. I'll throw up a couple of pictures I have here of the Friday show. They actually only did a 5-ship, so normally it's a 6-ship. There's the four center, sort of four main groups, and there's 2 solos. And the core group only had 3 on the Friday with the 2 solos. Because, as I said, they were down a bird due to mechanical issues. So they did their show. As I said, I got some pictures here of the Friday show. Did basically their full routine. And then right at the end of their show, Thunderbird 1 had a bird strike. And then they were deciding whether to... They actually had planned to land in London. They'd actually requested that the fire trucks be brought out and staged as they were going to divert into London. And then after doing a checkout around the airframe, they decided it was safe enough and they headed back to Selfridge. So that was on the Friday, and apparently they worked through the night and everything to get enough aircraft. So I don't know if they brought how many jets they flew into Selfridge, but I did hear that they had a number of mechanical issues. So as I said, on the Friday they only had a 5-ship and then a bird strike. Luckily on the Saturday they had a full 6-ship team. I'm pretty sure they had 6 on Sunday as well. But on the Saturday, the 2 solos were flying twin seats. 2 end seats? No, sorry. The 2 outside of the diamond. The solos had single seats. The 2 wingman. So number 1 and then 2 and 3 were twin seats. 4 was a single, and then 6 and 7. Oh, sorry, 5 and 6. The solos had single seats as well. So I don't know if they came into Selfridge with the twin seats being flown as part of the part of the team, or if they had the mechanical issues forcing them to use backup jets. I don't know the insides of that. All I know is it was pretty cool to see the twin seats fly in the show. You'll notice also in the shots I just showed from Friday, as well as some of the shots you'll see on Saturday and then the videos. The twin seats carried belly tanks, and there's a very good reason for that. A lot of people seem very put off that they had belly tanks, and why are they flying with belly tanks, and the range from Selfridge, and it actually has nothing to do with that because the single seaters didn't have tanks. So if it was a range issue, they would have had tanks as well. The main issue with that is with the twin seat F-16, the second seater, it's actually where a fuel tank. So they took out a fuel tank and inserted the second seat behind the pilot. So the twin seat actually has less internal fuel than a single seat. So flying a show, to match a single seat's fuel capacity, they have to fly with the drop tank. I mean, really, they probably could have done a show from, and if they were flying based out of London, they may or may not have had the tanks, depending on what the profile was. But I've seen pictures of them flying in Abbotsford with the twin seats, and they based out of Abbotsford Airport when they did their show, and they still had the belly tanks. So I think it's strictly just a lack of internal fuel due to that back seat. So you saw the pictures from Friday, saw the pictures there from Saturday. I kind of had them going just now as I was talking because I realized I was running out of time on this little video to show you the pictures. So I'm going to show you some videos. I'll show you a couple from Friday first, and then I'll show you a few from Saturday after. The lighting was the same. They did their show at the same time on both days. So it's beautiful afternoon fall Canada sunlight, so it was a beautiful show. So here are some videos. First a couple from Friday, and then I have one video from Saturday. And there you have it, folks. That was the 2020 Airshow London Skydrive event. As I said at the beginning, I did focus a lot on my stills picture. I am still sort of new at the whole video thing, so I focused a lot more on the stills than I did on actual video as well. I've discovered, especially at this show, I'm sure you noticed, I think I mentioned it before, the camera kept going in and out of focus. The Canon 7D is not very good at doing motion filming. If you're filming a static object, no issues. If you're filming something flying by or something moving, especially when you're changing the focal distance, it sucks. It does not hold focus at all. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if it's something the camera set up or I have the wrong setting. I'll need to look into more on how to do video with a Canon. Like I said, I am new to the whole video side of things. As well, I planned on bringing the video camera that I have set up on the desk that I used to do the top-down views of the model desk. I had planned to bring that because that thing's a workhorse. I've used it forever at air shows. It takes decent videos. I had planned to bring it and I completely forgot. It was just, I got down to London and literally as I showed up, I realized it was sitting here at the desk and I didn't have it with me. So it is what it is. You can't win every battle. I do have quite a bit of US currency saved up from tips and whatnot at work, and I plan, if nothing else comes around, I might even use some of that the next time I go down to the US, whenever the border opens up. If I go down to an air show in the US, I might swing by a camera store and pick up a slightly better video camera, one that actually has a mic input, like what I'm using here, the little lapel mic that I have used on these cameras. I got a video camera that has that, so I can actually run the lapel mic from the top-down view for when I'm doing videos over there, just to get a slightly better sound quality out of the model desk camera. And then it'll also be better when I go to Airshow, especially if I can get like a 4K video or something, you know. So we'll see how things go. I still, luckily this year was a bit of a washout, so I don't feel too bad not spending any money on camera equipment this year. I really don't have the money to spend this year, so we'll see what happens next year. But there we go, a little bit of a rant at the end of the video. That was the Airshow London 2020. I again apologize for the distinct lack of actual video, considering I am doing videos on YouTube. But hope you enjoyed the pictures. Down below in the description, I'll have a link to my the actual album for this air show on my website. So my website link will be there, but below that I'll also have a dedicated link straight to my Airshow album. I got about 100 or so pictures, 124 pictures I think up there of the best that I managed to get out of the 7,000 shots I walked away with. So go over there, take a look, let me know what you think of the pictures. There's definitely a bit more than what you saw here, some different angles and whatnot. And if you would like to see more, or if there's a specific airplane you want to see or anything else, let me know. As I said, I have 7,000 pictures that I took, so if you want a couple of a certain plane, by all means, message me, email me, go down below, use the YouTube link, whatever you'd like to do. And if there's a specific angle or specific shot or specific plane or anything like that, let me know. I'll do my best to pull up a shot that I have that gets what you want. And on that note, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. And yeah, keep looking for some new content coming out. Thanks again.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.